Hello, hello. I'm breathing, nose breathing. Hello, everybody. Who do we got here? Oh, Malik. We got Malik. We got Cody, Chilipine, Saul DePaul, Equo 26, Observant Servant, Denise, Chilipine, Observant Servant. Oh, now I'm just repeating. Glad you guys are here. We're getting the show started just a second here. Pressing send on the text message. See if we can get some text message people in here. Well, I guess I'll record this episode. Should I record this episode, Gons? He says yes. I'll do it. I only do what Gons tells me to do. We got a great show today. Getting started a little earlier today. This is a win for us. 1:30 Western Pacific time. Let's see. We're going to be doing some moderately deep dives on some a little bit more, not obscure, but stuff you're not going to get in most of the other shows. Some people don't like that. Some people want us to cover the exact same stuff as everybody else, which I get. I get you want to hear, if there's a big trending topic or something, you want to get our take on things. It's very flattering, actually, considering there's no shortage of takes. But sometimes it's good to get some new stories altogether that you're not going to get anywhere else. I think we're good to go. I'm good to go, Guns. Okay, so let's get this party started, baby. Oh, real quick, go to canarycry.party. Just as a reminder, canarycry.report. You can go there to submit an article. Canarycry.art to submit art. And Canary Cry T-shirt Council. Coming up for the first Canary Cry T-shirt Council, I'd like to... I keep saying I'm going to publish our goal. Problem is, the goal is probably so much higher than we're actually going to get. But I would love to at least get 10 more people on that list to help round it out. Okay, canarycrytshirtcouncil.com. All right, let's get the show started.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is February 22nd, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 593. And today, Joe Save Yours. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gons, formerly of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live to tape from stormy climate weather, California, to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's immersion phenomena is Joe, lots of Joes.
Okay, all right, yeah, that sounds good. That's fine. That makes total sense. I love it.
It makes complete sense. It will in a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, we got a great show today. And so before we get into it, why don't you open up that big old can of disclaimer?
Yes. Sorry.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up.
YouTube. That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. Time for a rundown.
Wow, I am unprepared today.
Oh, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
We're going to be starting out with Joe, and more Joe, the Trinity of Joes, working together to shape the narrative that expresses itself in the mass populace worldview. Then, more importantly, Trump water. More on that soon. Then the FLIPPY update and Bernie Sanders. Having button heads a little bit. You'll learn how Bernie feels, just how he feels about the robots, and what that means for his socialist, communist, blue-haired society. Checking in with Russia and Ukraine in the larger context in regards to the new world order and what that means for us. Then, of course, the cyber pandemic, warned by Klaus Schwab. We're always keeping an eye out for the next cyber pandemic, and just some inklings of that roiling around as always. And then an update on the Supreme Court case regarding Snowden and the NSA spying apparatus. Second half of show, we're checking in with CERN and their role in the UN Sustainable Development Goals and what that means for your children. I bet you don't know this one. And then, of course, we'll be transferring into some updates on the Epstein situation. We'll be touching on trains, and more trains, just one train. Some details regarding the history of East Palestine, or Palestine, I guess. Everybody's pronouncing it now. A few weeks before the train crash, and then end of the show. Balloons, trains and balloons. But are they the only things that matter? There's buoys jumping into the fray. Gons, how about those lead stories?
All right. Computer's moving slow. That is not the jingle that I picked. Wow.
Oh, boy.
Everything's laggy. I apologize.
It's going to be one of those days.
Armageddon's on the way.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Yes, we're going to start with a series of Joes. Let me start it off with Joe Rogan. You know Joe Rogan, Basil? Have you heard of this guy?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, bald guy, buff guy, tattoo guy, real big podcaster. He had done an interview. He's done many interviews, obviously, but he was doing a show. He was talking about AI and robots and all kinds of stuff recently. And I just found a really fun little ISO of him screaming MK Ultra.
MK Ultra! MK Ultra!
Somebody can make a jingle out of it. I think that's a great little thing for jingle makers out there. But also, you know, you and I, Basil, we've been having conversations like the one Joe Rogan is having now with robots and AI and stuff. We've been having it for about 10 years. And I noticed a sort of part of the conversation where Joe, I think, either tapped into our stream of thinking or maybe more. And here it is. Here's Joe talking about enhanced legs.
If they had fake legs that worked way better than real legs, and you could literally like jump over fences and run 50 miles an hour, wouldn't you get them?
I don't
They
think.
go, Ryan, it's not that big a surgery.
If I was 20,
it's not that big a surgery, bro. It's no big deal. They just cut your legs off.
Such an awesome show, bro.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. Yeah, it definitely rung a bell with me. And it's because back in June of 2015, we published episode number 95 of Canary Cry Radio. You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. different show. It was titled Christian Transhumanism with Reverend Dr. Benek. And in this conversation, we spoke to a reverend who believes in kind of a pro-transhuman thing. He started the Christian Transhumanism Association. And there's a part of the discussion here that I wanted to play because I don't know, Basil, if you remember this, but here it is.
When it comes to exactly what you're saying, the image of God, when we are already made in the image of God, how far is too far and what steps outside the boundaries of that? And what are the boundaries of that? And I'm really not trying to build a straw man here, but I want to ask the legitimate question. What if I want kangaroo legs? Like actual hairy kangaroo legs and a tail? Personally, if you were in charge of the theological debate, if Basil can have kangaroo legs, give it to me straight.
Well, if I was in charge, what I would do is I would go and get a bunch of Christians and I would sit and we'd pray about it. And we'd say, what are the ethical ramifications? See, I don't think I should, this is part of my issue with post-transhumanism folks, is I don't think we should be allowed to do this stuff in isolation. You know, what are your reasons for wanting kangaroo legs?
I'm really trying to get into the Olympics and a little chimera action with. So
here's a good thing. And Zoltan Isvan, who I disagree with all the time on stuff, like he's talked about, eventually there will be transhumanist Olympics.
So there you go. Back in 2015.
There we go. It's a classic.
Yeah.
The kangaroo legs argument will go down in the history of transhumanism discussion.
I think it's a better presentation of that argument or that thought in 2015 than Joe Rogan did with his chop off leg joke.
Well, it is interesting how the conversations about transhumanism are they're everywhere now. Yeah. Back in the day, it was a pretty obscure thing to talk about. It seems so far away. Now, it just isn't so far away, and the public conversation is everywhere. Now, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. Joe was talking about robot legs, which we have talked about robot legs as well. But, it's nice to see a mainstream conversation regarding transhumanism. What is too far? Our conversation with Dr. Christopher Bennett was in the context of Christianity. How should Christians be approaching the idea of transhumanism? And, it's generally Joe Rogan, living in a society that is based on at least Judeo-Christian morals, is asking similar questions. So I gotta give him some credit for not being full on, pro-transhumanism. But yes, the transhumanist leg replacement conversation. He's a little bit late to the game, guys.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple more Joe references here.
I wrote the bill. Come on, man.
And this is from MSNBC, Morning Joe. Of course, the show.
By the way, real quick, so sorry. What is the episode number for the Dr. Christopher Benek
I believe it
episode?
Was 095.
95. Yeah. So go to your podcast player or whatever, search Canary Cry Radio, a different show. This is Canary Cry News Talk, Canary Cry Radio, episode 95. And you can hear that conversation from back in 2015. I believe that was the same year that we were talking about things like Flat Earth and Q.
Watershed year.
Times. Simpler times.
I know, simpler times. But maybe preparing ourselves for such times as these. This is Morning Joe, MSNBC, talking about Joe Biden, and you will hear Morning Joe there set up the question, but the person answering is former CIA Marc Polymeropoulos. Joe talking about Joe Biden's role in Ukraine.
As a CIA guy, you had to make assessments. I'm going to ask you to go back and this is going to be a pretty obvious assessment about what would have happened. What would have happened if Donald Trump had been elected president? What would have happened to Ukraine? You wrote about this in the Washington Times.
So it's pretty extraordinary, because if Donald Trump had actually won the election, think about Ukraine would be part of Russia. The NATO alliance would have been shattered. So elections really do matter. And so I think, with Biden's trip to Europe, he is welcomed as not only frankly the savior of Ukraine, but also the savior of Europe as a whole. And Joe, watching that speech yesterday, all I could think of was someone that I think both of us admire. That's Ronald Reagan. Right. That was a Reagan-esque speech for the ages. And so I think this is really going to define Biden's legacy.
Savior of Ukraine, savior of Europe in general.
Wow, that is, man, these guys are carrying water for Biden. What a statement. The savior of Europe. Which, of course, makes him the savior of the West, which, at least in this current world order, means he's the savior of the world.
I thought the liberals didn't want a white savior. They have an old white savior.
Well, he's saving white people. Apparently, white people are allowed to save white people, but yeah.
Well, this Reagan-esque speech here, I have some clips, a little mesh up of clips from the speech in Poland. That everyone was talking about, and certainly the CIA guy was referencing. So here it is.
And let there be no doubt, the commitment of the United States to our NATO alliance and Article 5 is rock solid.
First of all, I know we've seen this before, but he's standing on kind of a podium, but it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a walkway stage, so it's lifted up higher, but then there's these glass... Have you seen a drum cage at a church?
Yeah.
It's like that around Joe. Uh-oh, I think you cut out.
Thing that Trump had on the January 6th speech he gave. He had those big glass panels in front of him. I think it's just, they must be worried about, maybe because he's so close to Russia, that some Russian assassin or something.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that it brings to mind is that a lot of the 3D stage performances has glass panels to kind of provide the 3D image. So it might not be
hologram stuff.
Yeah, holograms. Yeah. So it might not be long before you just get a body double to do the on-off part. But anyway, all right. Can I continue here?
And every member of NATO knows it. And Russia knows it as well. An attack against one is attack against all. It's a sacred oath.
Sacred oath.
Sacred oath to defend every inch of NATO territory. He thought NATO would fracture and divide. Instead, NATO is more united and more unified than ever before.
Just real quick, wanted to point out that, yes, NATO is more unified, but it's because the West is more fractured from China and Russia. And
it's
in the context of this breaking apart.
Well, in the context of this, it's the expansion of NATO. It's the unifying of NATO, the moving of NATO to the east that provoked this whole thing in the first place. Yeah. So, great job.
You guys did it. So, yeah, you're right. You are unified, but okay, anyway.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never. We're seeing again today what the people of Poland and the people across Europe saw for decades. Appetites of the autocrat cannot be appeased. They must be opposed. Autocrats only understand one word: no, no, no.
Reagan-esque. There it is. And by the way, what would have happened if Trump took over?
We will launch a new age. I am innocent. Innocent. They're coming after me.
Big news, folks. Trump water is on its way to save the day in Ohio. That's right. Trump taking the opportunity. I'm going to head on over here to dailymail.co.uk. The headline paragraph here is, I note, they changed my, no, dang it.
They changed the headline?
Yeah. They changed the headline. Nuts. Okay, well, here's the headline now. I know this menu better than all of you. Trump orders Big Macs for East Palestine first responders and himself after delivering 13 pallets of food and Trump water to families betrayed by Biden after toxic train disaster. Wow, there's been some updates to the story.
Is that a contract from McDonald's to mention Big Macs in the headline?
He knows the menu better than all of you. It's part of Trump's genius, as his love of fast food. It's probably the most relatable thing about him. But part of this was he brought water, Trump water. And do you have the clip up of him talking about Trump water?
I don't. Which clip was it that you
really?
wanted?
Oh, I sent you the clip. Here, let's find it. If you just search Trump water on Twitter here, it will explain the whole thing. The clip is everywhere. Let's see who can get a link first. Here we go. Send this on over to Gons. Put it here in the document. Yes, this was great. Now I got to look for a clip of the Big Macs because that sounds way more. Posted by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene on Twitter, and hopefully it's the right one.
We shall see. There's a little blue bird on the screen. Is it going to actually load? And by the way, when you start talking and sending stuff and links and stuff, it's slowing down the whole system. So just try to limit all that. But
me sending you a link is slowing down your computer?
I think yeah, as soon as you sent it and I saw it come in, it cut you out of Skype.
That's pretty strange.
All right, here we go.
Pretty shaky infrastructure we have here of sending a link.
I need some of that Joe Biden infrastructure cash. Okay.
Yeah.
Podcasters unite for some of that trillion. All right, here we go. Let's see. Here's Trump. Oh, there it is. Here we go.
To the people of East Palestine and to the nearby communities in Ohio and Pennsylvania, we have told you loud and clear, you are not forgotten. You are not forgotten. We stand with you, we pray for you, and we will stay with you in your fight to help answer, and the accountability that you deserve. We'll have that accountability. It'll all be out there very clearly.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, it doesn't mention
I don't
water.
think this is the right one. Dang it. Okay, I have the right one right here.
Okay.
Get ready for a complete failure of the system, folks. I'm sending a link. Is it too much for the thing? I'm very sad that this did not get done before the show. Try this one.
Which one?
The one from Ron Filipkowski. He's got a Ukraine flag in his name here. This clip is specifically loved by the Trump haters, so it's going to be good.
Okay, let's see here. Let's see if it loads. Hey, we didn't have a cutoff on Skype. That's good. This is good. This is real good. Good
should have
podcasting.
loaded it up beforehand. Should have loaded it up beforehand.
You didn't tell me.
Yes, I did. By the way, this brings up a good example of something I've been thinking about, and I'll bring it up right now. I was thinking there should be some sort of producer access. Maybe it's on the Patreon. Maybe we'll do a separate feed. Maybe, I don't know, some back end of the website where we can post the pre-show setup routine. Every time we set
yelling
up
at
for
each
a
other,
show,
you think people want to hear just us yelling
because
at each other?
we need this evidence publicly available.
Okay, well, it's possible. You and I have both had moments where we don't hear each other say something.
I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to let some of the producers in on the 2 hours of prep before the show.
Okay,
all right.
here's the clip. Here's Trump.
Because we're bringing thousands of bottles of water, Trump water, actually, most of it. Some of it we had to go to a much lesser quality water.
Oh,
they set that up for people that don't get the Trump water. They're going to be so disappointed.
Yeah, it's a little tough, too, considering he's talking to a population who just had their water supply poisoned by a bunch of train chemicals. But there you go. Trump water. This was interesting. A lot of chatter on Twitter about Trump water, some speculating he spent campaign funds to purchase water from himself to send it on up there. That's fine. A nice transfer of campaign funds to his personal bank account, but I was confused. Trump water. How do I get some Trump water? Well, doing a little bit of search on the internet, there was a product called Trump Ice. Trump Ice natural spring water often referred to as just Trump Ice, was a bottled water brand owned by American businessman Donald Trump. It was discontinued until 2010. So apparently this was featured on The Apprentice, and they stopped selling water to the public in 2010. However, we do have some tax filings for Trump Ice in 2017. So apparently the company has kept going. Reported value of $1,000 to $15,000. Total income from Trump Ice LLC in 2017 was $396,000. And there's this little explainer here. Trump has his own brand of bottled spring water to serve up to guests. Trump Ice Natural Spring Water. It also goes simply by the name Trump Natural Spring Water. Yes, for regular folks who want a taste of Trump's water, but don't plan on playing around at golf at Trump's courses anytime soon, you're still in luck. It's available for sale at Trump Tower in New York. And of course, Trump's water played a key role. It goes into some event in 2016.
CNN. Presenting Trump water, how you can access some Trump water.
It's kind of fun. They have this What We Know About Trump's Business Empire. It's this kind of interactive user experience on their website where you can go from category to category and take a look at all of his businesses, which is really fun. That's where I found Trump Ice. He's got merchandise, books, aircraft, show business, hotels, real estate, golf, of course. And there's like 200 businesses altogether, which is exciting. Yeah. Now, we were looking for some Trump Ice or Trump water images to show everybody. And because the old label, you can see on the Wikipedia, has this like fiery background with like some ice growing up from the bottom, and it's got Trump on there. And it says Trump Ice in some really, it kind of looks like a thumbnail to like a truther YouTube video. There's like fire and ice and sort of photoshopped Trump in there with really bold, intense lettering with some shiny gradient on it. It's really exciting. But you went over to Getty Images and found some things, huh?
Yeah, the Getty Images has 33 Trump water bottle premium high-res photos. And yes, the first one is
33?
33 of them, yeah. Interesting.
Oh my gosh.
The first one is, it has the one you just described, this fiery sort of logo. But it also has the Trump Ice, the other Trump Ice, which was a blue logo, and it says Trump Ice there, natural spring water, and it's got kind of a snowflake-ish design on the side. It still has a profile of Don there.
I love it. He's got his picture on it. It's so classy.
It looks more classy than the first one does look like devil water or something. This one looks a little more, you got to go with the blue label there. But we were looking at some of the photos coming out of East Palestine, and sure enough, you can see the labels, and it does say Trump. It looks like he might have used that same snowflake as part of the U design, but it's kind of hard to tell because they're in the plastic wrappings and everything.
Sure.
But it doesn't appear to have a mugshot of Donald Trump on there.
He took his face off
which, may be a good idea when you're going to a disaster zone.
I would love to get my hands on some of this Trump water, even a bottle. How
would you feel if you're the people getting the extras? You thought you're getting Trump water, but it says something else. Says
I don't know. I'm sure they have mixed feelings. Excellent opportunity for Trump to make a classic Trump impression. It was, Puerto Rico. He was passing out paper towels over here, and passing out some Big Macs and some bottled water, talking about how Biden betrayed. Instead of going to visiting Ohio, he visited Ukraine. So a wonderful opportunity for Trump to instill some pre-campaigning faith in his love for America versus Ukraine. Just a fun little throwback. If anybody's interested, May of 2013, you can go listen to Canary Cry Radio episode 47, the water episode. It's some people's favorite episode. You should go check it out. We do a whole production on doing some crazy truther exploration of water. So if somebody could just send that to Trump, that'd be excellent. Thank you very much.
That's our contribution, huh?
Yeah, that will help him out. Okay. Let's get on with the show because it is Wednesday.
It
is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
Hey guys, know what date it is? It's Wednesday. It's time for the Canary Cry News Talk.
Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday. Anything exciting going on, Guns?
Nothing too exciting, although I did check out Gabby. You know Gabby?
What is Gabby?
Gabby is Gab. You know Gab, the social media, the white supremacist, right-wing conservative.
Exactly.
Yes. They have their own AI now. It's called Gabby, and they use the DM chat bot, and it spits out artwork. And Gab had their own
art.
Yeah, it's like a little art generator.
Art bot.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And they say here in this article that was published by Gab News here, they say the future of AI is an exciting one. We're thrilled to be a part of it. With Gabby, we're able to demonstrate incredible power of AI and showcase its ability to create beautiful and meaningful content. We believe that AI has the potential to revolutionize the way we work, create, and interact with the world around us. We envision a world where humans work together with these new tools to build, create, and learn for the glory of God. So it's it's a Christian message behind the AI, which I think is
interesting. And this is an official Gab product.
Yes.
I was unaware that they were a Christian company.
Well, they've been pretty outspoken about it, but they also have embraced Christian nationalism because there is a whole tab on being pro-Christian nationalism, which is their big thing with the Gab. So, but I wanted to
use the words pro-Christian nationalism.
They have a tab on their news, thing. It's what is Gab AI parallel economy, which talks about homeschooling, homesteading, homemaking. And then they have a tab for Christian nationalism, bold Christian writing, Christian living, aesthetics. And then you can advertise on Gab. So yeah, it's a whole, but they've talked about him, the guy, I forget his name now, the guy who started Gab. He's mentioned a lot in sort of, lefty, progressive type of news articles as, he's a hater, he's a white supremacist, racist, whatever.
No, that's interesting. I'm not on Gab, so I didn't know any of this.
Yeah,
so that's very interesting.
I did check out the bot. I talked to Gabby, got a couple pieces of artwork done. I, of course, went ahead and did Canary Cry News Talk, and it created a couple interesting pieces. One that's, I don't know, the boat, a pirate type of boat kept popping up, which I don't know. Are we on some kind of voyage? It seems like you and I are just on some weird voyage.
Okay.
So this first one, it's got a boat. It's blue and gold, kind of like a pirate ship.
Calling AI. It a boat is not quite. It is sort of an epic painting that you would see like on the front of a cheap paperback novel in the 70s.
Yes,
the golden era of sort of cheap dime novels, fantasy novels. It's this really incredible looking ship with some blue and some yellow, some really epic sort of battle motion in there. And the whole front of the boat is a giant, sharp-toothed, kind of freaking me out, canary head. It's a gigantic, and it seems to be on fire too. Yeah, so that's very exciting. Okay, I kind of like that.
Yeah, there's also the robot that popped up. There's one-eyed green robot suit guy thing, which I think is somewhat appropriate. I did My Name, Gonzo Shimura, which I won't get into. It's just, it looks about right. For those of you watching, you can see it looks about right with what that is. Basil Rosewater had some interesting returns. Again, I won't say boat. I will say a ship. Sort of an explorer ship.
It straight up looks like, first of all, it's in a gold frame. So in a gold frame, it's a painting of what looks to be almost exactly, a cat just jumped on me and it scared me, exactly the Endurance, which was Sir Ernest Shackleton's Antarctic explorer ship, and surrounding this ship are like icebergs and a giant mountain. It literally painted a sort of 18th century Antarctic explorer expedition vessel, which I think is kind of tripping me out.
Yeah, and then also just an old man.
Yeah.
I guess this is you when you're old man and artificially intelligized.
It's kind of got a Heiser kind of look to it. It looks like almost a version of Mike Heiser with wheat leaves, like the
wreath.
Wheat fronds, whatever they're called, coming up on either side. Very sort of classic and regal looking. He's wearing a suit and a tie, and there's some gold emblem on his collar there. That's pretty classy. I'm not gonna say I'm complaining.
Yeah, so we did a couple more. We did Flippy, Jesus Christ, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, which is kind of what you would expect. I think they programmed it to be very generic with some of that. I did do Mark of the Beast. This will be the last one. There's two of them. The first one is a sort of okay. First of all, you got like a pyramid shape or ziggurat type of shape. It's very
a gigantic ziggurat. It's a gigantic ziggurat off in the distance
with an obelisk in the middle. By the way, there's like an obelisk structure in the middle, some kind of floating golden thing on the bottom there, and then the crowd is sort of it looks like kind of like an army. They're all dressed the same.
It's like a clone army
army feel. There's some balloons in the air.
Yeah, of course.
But it's,
of course, there's got to be balloons.
Yeah, it looks about right, for Mark of the Beast. And then the other spits out two with each request. The other one is some kind of terrifying monkey. Ape,
kind of looks like a representation of Hanuman, the Hindu monkey god.
Yeah, it's got the blue, but sort of the shape-shifty look there. But anyway, I just thought it was fun to do a little demo of Gabby, see what it's all about. And it is promoting itself as a sort of ethical or more, I guess, moral AI or something, as opposed to the sort of Chat GPT, Trump is a racist, that kind of stuff going on.
Sure.
So it's very interesting that we're going to see these different types of AIs, be out there, and it's going to be it's going to depend on the worldview of the people programming it. And that'll be interesting to watch.
It's the culture war, It becomes AI, these AI chat bots becoming soldiers in the culture war.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they're victims of the culture war. I'm not quite sure yet.
Maybe.
But of course, it's very interesting. Of course, we've seen the censorship and the wokeness of Chat GPT.
Yeah.
And so, yes, of course, one would come out on the other side. It'd be very interesting to see. Do they have a?
Oops, sorry.
Do they have a chat bot, or is it just the art generator?
There's a little bit of a chat, but it's not much. I don't think it's
right.
It doesn't speak back yet.
So it's not a chat bot.
Not
That's
really.
The question.
No.
Is there a chat bot, or is it just an art generator?
I think
Sounds like it's just an art
generator.
generator.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. Well, while you're at it, I was going to say this Saturday is kind of fun. I'm doing a barn raising here at the compound. Yes, the emus need a new home, and so I'll be building an emu sort of shed thing. Yeah, if I think about it,
lapse.
If I think about it, I'll set something up. So somebody try to remind me, maybe. So yes, having some friends over to the property, gonna show it off and build a shed, do an old fashioned barn raising. I think it'll be fun, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. One of the first sort of major construction project out on the compound. So pray for me that I don't have some sort of construction accident. But Kevin and Kevin will have a new cozy home.
All right.
Other than that, let's thank some executive producers.
Executive producers.
That's right. We're on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. No advertisements, no affiliate codes, no platform partnerships, no nothing. We're entirely funded by people who get value from the show. That's why it's called value for value. If this show brings any value to you, keep in mind that the only way this show continues is when people put value back in. So as long as people are honest and generous with the value that this brings to their life and put that value back in, the show can continue forever. Now, you can produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Lots of ways to put value back in, not just finances. But the people who come in, support the show generously, they're executive producers. And that's why we're going to thank them now. We had 0 executive producers up until the start of the show. And then suddenly, it's nice. This is why we like doing the live show, because maybe sometimes people forget, and then the show goes live, and then they remember, and then they come in and support the show. So let's thank them now. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Starting off with executive producer Dustin B.
Dustin B. Thank you.
Yeah. Dustin B comes in for $127.33. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, he's our Illuminatus handler today. Appreciate it, Dustin B. I did not see a note anywhere, but of course, if we missed it, we can make up for it later. Thank you very much,
Dustin.
Executive Producer Dustin B.
Where'd you find this?
Next up, we have Executive Producer Malik W.
Malik.
Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy.
Great to have you back, Malik. Malik supporting the show in a nice round number, which means we do not disclose it on the air. If you don't mind us disclosing it, make it a funky number, like adding 33 cents or something, like Dustin B did. Thank you very much, Executive Producer Malik W.
Where'd you find this?
Last but not least, we've got Executive Producer Felicia D.
Felicia D. Thank you, Felicia.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Felicia D comes in with a nice round number, and I did not see a note, so thank you very much to all 3 of our executive producers. But it's nice to have returning executive producers as well.
Yeah, thank you, Felicia D.
Where'd you find this?
That's right. And before we get on with the show, Gons, you know what time it is. We got to thank the most important people in the world.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
That's right, folks. The Canary Cry T-Shirt Council, a shadowy council of the most important people in the world, in the back, smoky back rooms of the decision-making capitals of the world. That is the Canary, deciding, plotting, scheming as to what the very first Canary Cry News Talk T-shirt will be. That's right. Not only do they support the show for $19.84 per month, but they are also going to be involved in the decision-making process because we have too many options. We need them. How could we possibly make any decisions for ourselves without some sort of berobed secret society making those decisions for us? So thankfully, we have the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council to guide us into the new age of T-shirts. You can join the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council by going to canarycrytshirtcouncil.com. It's easy. Just sign up there, support the show, and boom, you're in. And if you do, you'll become one of the most important people in the world. And we're going to thank some of them now, Gons. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. First off, we have most important person in the world, Kelsey Yu.
Kelsey Yu, thank you.
Indeed, thank you very much. So important, so people. Yeah. Next up, we've got most important person in the world, Eli P.
Eli P, thank you.
Thank you very much, Eli P. Then we've got most important person in the world, Sir Martin K, Night of the Wrong Timeline.
Marty K. Yeah. Thank you.
And last but not least, the most important person in the world, producer Preston E.
Preston E. Thank you.
Had to put a little bit of extra gravitas on that last one for some reason. That's right. You too can have your name ridiculously screamed on your favorite podcast by joining the illustrious Canary Cry T-Shirt Council, canarycrytshirtcouncil.com. It's these, in all seriousness, it's these monthly commitments that are what they played a huge part in us surviving the tumult that was 2022 economically, and we are confident that it's the supply droppers and the T-shirt council that are going to help us survive 2023.
Just to make sure, Sir Eli P. of the Amateur Martial Artist and Aspiring LARPers. He's also a knight, so
you're right. I forgot he got knighted. Yeah. Forgive me, Sir Eli P.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Okay.
It's good. It's good to have some knights and dames in the T-shirt
showing
council.
up.
Yeah, they're adding to their sash.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay, and with that, it's time for Flippy.
Time for Flippy.
Flippy update. Do you want fries with that?
That's right. It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from Insider, businessinsider.com. Oopsie daisies. For those who get our newsletter, you will get these links in your email box before every show. Go join the newsletter if you would like to have instant access to all the most important news covered on the show. And there's a paywall suspiciously placed over this link here, so I don't know what's going on. I'm scrambling to go ahead and try to find a non-paywalled version. Do you have a non-paywalled version?
So mine is not paywalling, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on either. This is annoying me. It's asking me to turn off my ad blocker.
Oh, boy.
I don't want to turn off my ad blocker, but I guess I will, because I'm currently trapped in a sort of hell space trying to do a live podcast with an ad blocker that is keeping me from doing my job. No! Oh, no.
All right.
Hold on.
Do you want me to at least get it rolling while you figure that out?
I guess. Do you have the text only version?
No, it's not a text only version. This is.
Oh, you don't have a text only version.
No.
Okay, yeah, just get it started. I'll see what I can do here.
Okay, all right. Well, the headline here is Bernie Sanders says he agrees with Bill Gates that the government should tax the robots replacing workers. Yeah, Bill Gates.
Climate change.
Any progress over there? We're still
no. There's no progress.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. You've heard Senator Bernie Sanders say and probably shout that he wants to tax billionaires. He also wants to tax robots. Yeah. In his new book, The Vermont Independent writes that he supports establishing a robot tax to account for the impact of automation on workers. Basil, I'm dropping you the link to the other version without the paywall.
Okay, thank you very much.
I will do that right here, and I will keep reading. If workers are going to be replaced by robots, as will be the case in the many industries, we're going to need to adapt tax and regulatory policies to assure that the change does not simply become an excuse for race to the bottom profiteering by multinational corporations. He wrote in, quote, "It's okay to be angry with capitalism," to be released on February 21st. So it came out yesterday. What a fun title for a book. It's okay to be angry about capitalism. The general idea behind a robot tax levied on firms that replace humans with robots is to disincentivize the practice and to cover the loss of revenue from payroll taxes when robots are used, according to a report by Robert Siemens from Brookings. Okay, I got past it and just in time because that is the most important part of the thing. First of all, Bernie Sanders, I'm going to go back just a bit here. If the workers are going to be replaced by robots, as will be the case in many industries, yes, thank you for paying attention, Bernie, we're going to need to adapt tax and regulatory policies to ensure that the change does not simply become an excuse for race to the bottom profiteering by multinational corporations. So it's really, he's talking about punishing
punishing corporations for using robots, which, you know, would be an easy thing for people to agree with. Punishing corporations is like in one way or another, if you know, especially even the most diehard corporatist or capitalist rather can agree that, you know, if capitalism should serve humans and not serve robots. But of course, our entire existence will soon revolve around serving the robots and not the other way around. He wrote in, quote, "It's okay to be angry about capitalism." To be released on February 21st. Oh, that's out now. The general idea behind a robot tax levied on firms that replace humans with robots. So this is on the corporations that purchase and put the robots to work. Now, last episode we talked about the paying the hourly wage for the robot instead of purchasing the robot. I wonder how the tax will apply there, but we'll see. It's to disincentivize the practice and to cover the loss of revenue from payroll taxes when robots are used, according to a report by Robert Siemens for Brookings. Now, this I thought was interesting. They're not even worried about people necessarily losing their jobs because of the well-being of the public. They're worried about losing taxes from payroll taxes. That's the biggest concern here. And I love this. This is the true corporatist sort of capitalist way of also saying the robots are going to kill us all, not because they're going to take our jobs. Yeah. It's because they don't pay taxes.
But it makes it official, though. Like, once you are a tax-paying entity, you become official in the eyes of the government. So.
Right. Well, I'm not sure. I don't know if the robots themselves are paying the tax, but yes, we got to tax the robots. And the idea, you know, I could see Bernie making the idea that, yeah, if you make robots more expensive than a human, then, you know, less people will lose their jobs. However, you know, it's this balance. It's the economics of balance, because if you make robots too expensive and no humans are replaced, we're gonna be stuck in this slow-moving human manufacturing world. You're holding back progress for progress' sake. Stevens argues that these taxes, quote, may be well-intentioned, but are, quote, a misguided idea that would have negative consequences for firms, their workers, and ultimately the economy. That's because the idea that robots are taking jobs is, quote, not well-founded, and it would lead to less economic growth, he wrote. And that right there, folks, he lost some points there. Not well-founded that robots are taking jobs. If there's anything that my career has brought to the world, it is to well-found the idea that the robots are taking our jobs.
We've been documenting this progress for a decade at minimum.
What is this? Propaganda by Robert Siemens, saying that it's not well-founded. But Sanders isn't alone in his thinking that robots should be taxed. His book, now, see, I don't know, they're talking about some sort of robot payroll tax, because surely, you know, sales tax and things like this would be involved in purchasing a robot. But that's not ongoing, you know. We need big government to take all of the money, or else how are we going to keep funding Ukraine? The robots will be funding Ukraine. His book references policy ideas from other proponents, including Microsoft's Bill Gates, a billionaire who Sanders notes is not someone I regularly agree with. Gates has said that the tax could help finance jobs, requiring, quote, human empathy and understanding, such as elder care, having smaller class sizes, or helping children with special needs. Okay.
Yeah,
Sanders
use that money for the kids, for the children.
Exactly.
Good idea.
That's always
good idea, Bill.
Raise taxes, spend it on the children. Yeah, like we're doing with payroll care or payroll taxes right now, huh? Huh, Bill? Now, it's interesting because it was only about a month ago I put in the Red Book that there would be a robot tax to pay for Social Security for those who lost their jobs to robots, sort of robot unemployment benefits.
Sure, yeah.
I'm surprised that that's not even mentioned in here.
Yeah, well, they haven't gotten to where you are in the timeline yet, so it'll.
That's true. They didn't mention anything regarding these taxes, helping the actual workers who lost their job, and that's a mistake. Sanders also points to other ideas from other sources as well that would require companies to pay a portion of payroll taxes into a retraining fund for displaced workers, or that would prevent automation from reducing tax revenue, all the way back to the tax revenue. That's the big thing. Now, this retraining fund is interesting because that's actually exactly what Amazon did. After they started working on putting robots in all their warehouses, they started retraining programs for all of their own employees that they were putting out of business. And that was a nice idea, except I think the numbers were like 1 in 800 or something of the people who lost their jobs to the robots were able to take the training and get a job as like a robot maintenance person or something. So, it's not solving any problems. And I think it's hilarious that Bernie is making suggestions about how to hurt billionaires from ideas from the billionaires themselves. He's reading the script of billionaires.
The problem with all these American independent socialist types,
I know. Well, we know
especially as they get famous, it's kind of, he's got to sell books too. He's got to talk robots.
He's a big faker. We know he's a big faker. Everybody knows that. So anyways, there you go. It's an update on the robo-tax. They're coming for your jobs. The government does not like what that means for tax collection.
And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. Russia, Russia, Russia.
Fight for Ukraine. New world order.
New world
real
order.
Quick.
It's just a conspiracy
real quick.
theory.
I gotta let this. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Real quick. I gotta go let this cat out. Excuse me.
Okay.
So sorry. You can continue. I just didn't want you to talk to me while I'm gone.
Okay. All right. You shall leave. All right. Okay. New world order. All right. We've often heard about how it's just a conspiracy theory. It's not real. But in recent months and years, it seems like there has been an attempt to define the phrase. I feel like we're at another point in time where the mainstream media is doing that. This is the Guardian.co.uk, and the headline here: War in Ukraine defining new world order, says think tank. A think tank talking about a new world order. It's actually not new if you're in the realm of conspiracies and looking at stuff. They've been publishing stuff like this for a long time, but it's just another example. Maybe people are new to the idea of, hey, maybe these big world institutions don't have our best interest in mind. It says here, almost a year after Russia's war against Ukraine started, it has united the West, according to a 15-country survey, but exposed a wide gulf with the rest of the world that is defining the contours of a future global order. The study by the European Council on Foreign Relations, there it is, ECFR think tank, surveyed opinions in 9 EU member states. Just remember 9. Pop up again in a little bit here. Including France, Germany, and Poland, and in Britain and the US, as well as China, Russia, India, and Turkey. It revealed sharp geographical differences in attitudes to the war, democracy, and the global balance of power, the author said, suggesting Russia's aggression may be a historic turning point marking the emergence of a post-Western world order. Again, we've been talking about some of this stuff for a couple years at least, this whole idea of a new world order, the old new world order breaking down and, creating a new world order. Quote, the paradox of the Ukraine war is that the West is both more united, remember Joe Biden talking about how they're more united, and less influential in the world than ever before. said Marc Leonard, the think tank's director and a co-author of the report based on polling carried out last month. So the think tank, the European Council on Foreign Relations, did a study, and they discovered, the West is more united. The NATO force is more united, as Joe Biden was ranting about in his speech in Poland, but they're less influential in the world and weaker than ever, which is, I think, where all of this is headed, by the way. And we didn't bring it to the show, but there was a Marjorie Taylor Greene tweet thread that talked about, basically a civil divorce within the blue states and red states. And it's basically the balkanization of the United States that we've talked about before. And now, Marjorie Taylor Greene calling for it. All right, I'm going to skip a little bit in this article and get to some other points here. However, it had, quote, utterly failed to persuade major powers of the rest, such as China, India, and Turkey. Oh, yeah, we probably maybe want to read that paragraph before. Yes, the study was extremely sobering. The survey showed the war had given the transatlantic West unity and purpose, he said. However, it had utterly failed to persuade major powers of the rest, such as China, India, and Turkey. The lesson was clear, quote, we urgently need a new narrative that is actually persuasive to countries like India and the world's largest democracy. So in the context here, they're talking about China, India, and Turkey, but I think it can apply to any nation here, but mainly they're going to be against China. So I don't know that China is a part of this conversation, but looking at India and Turkey being a place where, hey, they're out there, they're not exactly, with China or with Russia in the war efforts, but they're definitely trying to do their own thing. And it leans into this idea of a multipolar world order we've been talking about, and perhaps India, places like Turkey, becoming their own sort of pillar. Okay, skipping down a little bit. You get over there, you got your situation taken care of, Basil? I don't know if your mic is on. Okay. Compared with a similar poll.
Sorry, I had you muted.
Yep. You were muted. So, yeah, you're good?
Good.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, compared with a similar poll last summer, moreover, Russia's war against Ukraine was now seen by more people in the Western alliance as a fight for democracy and their own security, and as a war not just in, but on Europe, ECFR said. Which is, again, interesting that Joe would be the European savior. All right, some numbers, more numbers. Talks about how China, India, and Turkey don't agree with that sentiment. The majority of them, 76% from China, 77% from India, 73% from Turkey. They actually see Russia as being stronger now than before the war. So they're not, fully in line with them, but they're sort of butting up with what Russia is doing, and I guess agreeing with the idea that the West is weakening, the United States is weakening. And if you look at some of the supply chains taking place, the unification of the supply chains in the East, in Russia and China, and not using the dollar to settle on oil and things like that all around the world, you can tell the United States is losing its influence, at least in the economic order sense.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind, too, that those people are subject to their countries' propaganda as well.
Of course. I don't know
if one or the other narrative is necessarily as true as anybody believes.
Well, that's the thing. Every nation gets to sort of propagandize their own people, and they have their own thing. But, of course, with Russia and China, they have large populations, so they have more influence. Okay, so the end of the article here. The West will have to live, they said, with hostile dictatorships such as China and Russia, but also with independent powers such as India and Turkey. These do not represent some third bloc or even share a common ideology, but nor are they, quote, content to adjust to the whims and plans of the superpowers. Rather than expecting them to support, quote, Western efforts to defend the fading post-Cold War order, we need to be ready to partner with them in building a new one. And again, interesting that there's sort of, we talked about the idea of World War III maybe a year ago, and how it's kind of like you go on the playground, you pick teams, kind of like the NBA All-Star game recently. A couple of captains, they each pick players one at a time, and the teams are decided. And the way things are looking, it looks like it's not going to be just one or the other. But in the context of this new world order, this Ukraine conflict being the catalyst for reshuffling of all of the world orders, I wanted to bring this clip to you from Uri Geller. He's the British-Israeli psychic medium guy. Because also, part of the Guardian thing here that's interesting, Israel is not mentioned as one of the nations that was surveyed, which I thought was interesting. And they have, we heard about Ukraine and the U.S. begging Israel for some technology to defend against Russia for Ukraine. But there's a clip here from Uri Geller, the spoon bender. He's the guy who hung out with Gene Roddenberry, who wrote Star Trek, and also was part of the guy who were not part of the seances that contacted the Council of Nine. And he had a really interesting message here about the war, the whole situation, especially to Putin, and a request to the public.
Hi, my dear friends. Please look at the photo behind me carefully. That's me with Vice President Al Gore, Yuli M. Vorontsov, who was the first deputy foreign minister of the Soviet Union and was responsible for the arms reduction nuclear treaty, Anthony Lake, then the national security advisor, later the head of the CIA, Senator Clayton Pell, chairman of the US Senate and Foreign Relations Committee. And I must tell you that they asked me to bombard Yuli Vorontsov, the Russian, with telepathy to sign the nuclear arms reduction treaty. They did. Today, Putin announced, look at that photo, that his finger is back on the nuclear bomb. I need your help every day, 11:11 a.m. Israel time and 11:11 p.m. Israel time. I need you to focus with me for a few seconds to get Putin off the nuclear bomb.
So what he's talking about there is in 1987, he was asked to attend a U.S.-Soviet nuclear talk in Geneva, and his task, according to him, was to telepathically convince the Soviets to agree to cut nuclear arms. And then within a day, they signed the thing. So he's sort of rehashing that old trick. I don't know if he's being officially asked to do it again. I wouldn't be surprised if he was, but it's interesting that it's just sort of kind of a spiritual warfare type of thing. I know it's a new age occult guy, but I don't know. It's a very interesting development.
The U.S. especially has a long history, as well as the UK, the West in general, has a long history of implementing Western occultism into geopolitical affairs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that we and other occultists can agree on is that governments of the West have often implemented quietly the help of famous occultists. Of course, during World War II, you've got Aleister Crowley and the skin drums. You've got
Jack Parsons is part of
Jack Parsons, exactly.
Origins of NASA.
Mm-hmm. You see him all over the place, and I believe him. I don't really have a reason not to believe him, except for he very easily could just be making it up for economic reasons, and that's totally possible too. I would not be surprised either way. But this would not surprise me at all if somebody, it might not be officially paid for by the Pentagon or something, but they probably wouldn't have to. I'm sure he'd take on the honor of being the West's occult operator during times as this.
Yeah, and so another one to mention, Benjamin Creme, well talked about in the early days, Chris White, Age of Deceit type of era. Benjamin Creme was part of the United Nations and is considered this prophet guy who basically said that Maitreya, the world savior, is here, and we're just waiting for Maitreya to make a public appearance. And they had a whole section of the United Nations headquarters dedicated to his rituals and stuff like that. So yes, there's a huge long history with all this stuff. And, you and I might be a little jaded about it, but there might be some new people and they don't know all the history and why it's, we say the things we do.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
There you go. Okay, quick little cyber pandemic here.
The COVID-19 crisis would be seen as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber pandemic.
This is coming from TechCrunch.com, and that'll be interesting in a moment. The headline is Sensitive U.S. Military Emails Spilled Online. The U.S. Department of Defense secured an exposed server on Monday that was spilling internal U.S. military emails to the open internet for the past 2 weeks. The exposed server was hosted on Microsoft's Azure government cloud for Department of Defense customers, which uses servers that are physically separated from other commercial customers, and as such can be used to share sensitive but unclassified government data. The exposed server was part of an internal mailbox system, storing about 3 terabytes of internal military emails, many pertaining to U.S. Special Operations Command, or U.S. SOCOM, the U.S. military unit tasked with conducting special military operations. Speaking of that group, there's been some recent ISIS hits recently.
Oh, really?
Which would have been under U.S. SOCOM, I believe. But a misconfiguration left the server without a password, allowing anyone on the internet to access the sensitive mailbox data inside using only a web browser, just by knowing its IP address. That means so anyone listening to this could have accessed this confidential military server.
They're just following orders from the president.
They all want to share their data. Yeah, it's about time we got some real transparency in the government here. Open up all the servers. Anurag Sen, a good faith security researcher known for discovering sensitive data that has been inadvertently published online, found the exposed server over the weekend and provided details to TechCrunch so we could alert the U.S. government. And this was a very strange thing to read.
Yeah, you're becoming the story. What's going on, TechCrunch? Why are you being the liaison between the good faith white hat security researcher and the U.S. government, and then writing yourself into the article? Very interesting.
Exactly. And this was the core principle of the Julian Assange issue, the Edward Snowden issue, both of them on sort of different sides of the issue. But Julian Assange specifically, if people need reminding, because people often forget, he did not hack anything. He did not even steal any information. He did nothing. There was a whistleblower that gave him documents, and they were documents that were relevant for the public to know about what their government was doing. Snowden was involved in a similar thing. And then he published it. All he did was put it on WikiLeaks. Now, as a journalist, under journalism protections, that should have been fine. Journalists are allowed to publish information that is given to them by whistleblowers. That's why we have whistleblower laws. In this case, this Anurag Sen, who they go out of their way to say is a good faith security researcher, another name for that is hacker, who has previously done this stuff.
And maybe he's good faith now to keep his freedom. Maybe he was caught doing something else before.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a little bit of image crafting going on here, not just for Anurag, but also for TechCrunch, because TechCrunch is in the position of the Julian Assange character this time. They did not
given information.
They were given documents. Which is funny. The way they describe it then, this Anurag fella got the stuff, sent it to TechCrunch so we could alert the U.S. government. We're not here to just publish the documents. We're here to tell the government. How are we telling the government? Oh, I don't know. We're publishing an article about the documents, so the government should know now. So this was kind of put in there, for legal reasons, to try to not get Julian Assanged in this case. The server was packed with internal military email messages dating back years, some of which contained sensitive personnel information. Again, this was the big thing with WikiLeaks was, it gave away CIA operatives around the world. Same with Snowden.
By the way, I'm sorry, just real quick. TechCrunch on the Harvard list is number 71. They are owned by Apollo Global Management private equity firm. Verizon Wireless is involved here. So yeah, I mean they are pretty much a government apparatus in terms of its.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, they are as government. They're not.
Well, they're not directly, but of course, you got venture capitalists and.
Yeah, they're not CIA, but they're as government as telecom is.
Right,
Verizon.
right.
Telecom is, basically an extension of the government.
It's owned by Verizon Media, so yes, it's all under the umbrella of Verizon. So there you go.
The server was packed with internal military email messages dating back years. I mentioned that part. One of the exposed files included a completed SF-86 questionnaire, which are filled out by federal employees seeking a security clearance and contain highly sensitive personal and health information for vetting individuals before they are cleared to handle classified information. These personnel questionnaires contain a significant amount of background information on security clearance holders, valuable to foreign adversaries.
It just so happens, huh?
In 2015, suspected Chinese hackers stole millions of sensitive background check files of government employees who sought security clearance in a data breach at the U.S. Office of Personnel Management. None of the limited data seen by TechCrunch, so they've seen it, appeared to be classified, which would be consistent with USOCOM's civilian network, as classified networks are inaccessible from the internet. According to a listing on Shodan, a search engine that crawls the web for exposed systems and databases, the mailbox server was first detected as spilling data on February 8th. It's not clear how the mailbox data became exposed to the public internet, but it's likely due to a misconfiguration caused by human error.
Roll out FLIPPY. Can't have these data leaks of email. Got to get some FLIPPY patch to keep things, maybe a flaming sword to make sure there's no leakage.
Some AI server admins. So this is interesting. It's not quite a huge hacker story. However, if the story is being sort of controlled, I mean, a whoopsie daisies on the admin side is so embarrassing, especially for, this is the same government that wants to track your every move and put it on a, health ID and et cetera, et cetera. Yes. They just little whoopsie daisies. Yeah. But yes, blaming human error is a wonderful reason to start implementing AI sort of server admin stuff, which coincidentally, Biden just signed an executive order that related to AI being used in the government. We didn't bring it now. We'll do a deeper dive later. So the timing is wonderful. Just to touch on a related story. Mm-hmm. Wall Street Journal is reporting Supreme Court turns away challenge to warrantless surveillance program. The Supreme Court declined to hear a constitutional challenge to a secretive government surveillance program, dealing a setback to privacy groups, including the American Civil Liberties Union, ahead of a looming debate in Congress over whether to renew the law that authorizes the intelligence tool. In a brief order issued on Monday, the High Court said it wouldn't hear arguments challenging the legality of the National Security Agency, that's the NSA, program known as Upstream, in which the intelligence agency collects and monitors internet communications without obtaining search warrants. Classified details about the program were among those exposed a decade ago by former intelligence contractor Edward Snowden, who has been charged with theft of government property and violating espionage laws and lives in Russia. Ooh.
Housing.
Lives in
criminals.
Russia.
Just one big criminal land. Russia, Putin.
So this is regarding the Edward Snowden. Man, that was 10 years ago, wasn't it? My goodness. Revelations that the U.S. government is not only spying on you, but storing every single action that you've ever taken on the internet, putting it in a file just in case they need it later, without a warrant, without any reason to expect you of anything. And it's really disappointing. I mean, this Supreme Court, which is a conservative-leaning Supreme Court.
Yeah, this was supposed to be the kind of thing to really bring to the limelight. This
case is fighting the fundamental concept of big brother government. And this conservative Supreme Court just even refused to let it be brought to the court. They're just, nope, we're not even going to question the government's, not only their right, and not only our constitutional right to privacy, but the government's ongoing illegal practice of spying on every single person in the country without reason, without a warrant, without any suspicion at all. And they're just not even questioning it, not even gonna allow it to be brought up in court. It's really disappointing, but not surprising.
Yeah, well, all those people in the Supreme Court, you are not invited to the party. Go to canarycry.party. You'll find a trio of links that leads to everything from where to listen to the show, watch the show, how to produce the show, how to connect with us and the community, except Supreme Court people.
Welcome to Canary Cry Party. It's the place you wanna be. So say welcome to Canary Cry. Gameplay canarycry.party.
Yep, that's right. Go check it out. All sorts of good stuff. Join the text message alert system. Join the newsletter. You'll also see a link for submitting an article to the show. That goes to canarycry.report. Thank you to everybody who's been using canarycry.report. It's extremely helpful. It's a way better system than just emailing us a link. Excuse me, the show burps have started. I do want to thank producer Paul G and Nancy D and Sleep Maximalist and Kayla and all the people who have gone to canarycry.report. Even if the articles don't make it on the show immediately, they now go into a database where we can search it and go back and find articles that producers have sent to us. We can make connections, build larger segments. It's an incredibly important part of, producership of the show. So thank you guys for doing that. Speaking of producership, time to thank some producers. Taking a quick break because we're on the value for value model. No corporate money whatsoever. When you take corporate money, you're no longer independent media. We're staying independent for all the good reasons to do so themselves as well. Thank you to our executive producers again, Dustin B, Malik W, and Felicia D. Thank you to our most important people in the world, those who have joined the Canary Cry T-shirt Council, and a big thank you to the supply droppers as well. You guys are very important. And I will say, just a quick say, go to canarycrysupply.com to support the show and start receiving, cool stuff every quarter. But we are going to thank some producers who came in to support us this episode. Gons, you ready?
Yep.
Starting with Biliano M.
Biliano, thank you.
Producer Biliano M comes in for $33.33.
Illuminatus.
Yeah, and Biliano M sent in a great email. He works for a rail yard and had a lot of interesting insights into the train derailment issue in general. I learned a lot about train bearings and systems and detectors and stuff like that, which I think is a relevant part of the conversation when it comes to the defections within the rail industry, an industry now sort of famous for cutting corners, cutting cutting corners on labor, cutting labor benefits. I mean, these guys, the rail system was about to go on strike in December and was heroically averted by union man Joe Biden, basically threatening them with jail if they did a rail strike before Christmas.
He gets everything done with threats. Have you noticed?
That's how he does it. He's an old school guy like that. And so, yes, even if there was not some sort of broad conspiracy to derail that particular train, there does seem to be a spirit that is guiding the rail industry into becoming something that is impossible to avoid disasters like this, which of course serves the purpose of the dismantling of American infrastructure to build it back better, Gons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which, as we know, is going to AI will play a big role in that as well. You don't need any train workers. Right now, this is the craziest thing that I've learned from this whole Ohio train thing. These trains only have 2 guys on them. Mm-hmm. They could have hundreds of cars, train cars, and there's 2 workers on each train. And the rail company is trying to bring that down to 1. One guy driving, 100 cars of hazardous chemicals and all sorts of nasty stuff.
It'll be one guy, but just his brain. It won't even be his physical self.
Yeah, he'll be a brain in a jar
to the system, and as long as he's thinking straight, stay on the road, or the tracks. Right. So thank you very much for the insight, Biliano M. We'll be referring back to your email when we do more breakdowns of train stuff. Yep. Did we play his jingle? Which jingle?
I don't know. 3333. Illuminatus. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, producer Biliano M. Next up, we've got producer Sir Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots coming in with 1111, 197 episodes in a row.
197.
So thankful for Dr. Michael Heiser and all the incredible work he did for the kingdom while he was here. He will truly be missed, but I'm praising God that he is no longer suffering or in pain. Amen.
Amen to that. Yep.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, we had Sir Alex Protocol V2 Night of the Berean Protocol come in. 142 episodes in a row. Pocket full of sevens.
You.
We have previous executive producer, now producer, Trevor G come in.
Thank you, Trevor G.
Yeah, and Trevor G just started a 2-episode streak.
Oh, 2 episodes.
Yes.
We'll be heating up next, huh?
That's right. That's right. Thank you very much for coming back, Trevor G. Let's see here. Oops, lost my document. I think that's it. For the producers who came in above $7.77, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. But people can still come in under that $7 mark, and we're going to thank them now, starting with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 265 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
Yeah. Dame Gail, Canary Whisperer of Lady of X's and O's, 227 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Dame Gail.
Veronica D comes in, 227 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Both of them had slipped up last episode, but they came in same day, saved their streak. We appreciate it. Doctor Who Done That, 30 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Doctor Who Done That.
Almost to that 33. And, of course, Sir Scott Knight of Truth, 254 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Oh, yeah. Streakalicious.
Women rule.
And if anybody out there wants to produce the show or join the T-shirt club, I will be checking back for T-shirt council members. We'll thank them one more time if any come in. But if you want to produce the show, head on over to canarycry.party or canarycry.support.
canarycryradio.com/support. Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
You ready to wake up?
Ready.
Wake up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Oh, what are the gates of the gods up to over there at CERN? And their 666 logo. Well, they published this article on February 20th of 2023, and the headline here, How Can Citizens Contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals?
Oh.
How can you? Aren't you curious?
Job now. Yeah.
If you want to find out, join the Crowd for SDG final conference and panel discussion and hackathons. Crowd for SDG. That's the new thing, apparently. It says here, March 17th, they're going to celebrate the achievements of the EU-funded Crowd for SDG project and find out more about how citizens, about citizen science and crowdsourcing tools can be used to address the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and climate action. The timetable is brimming with presentations, panel discussions, and hackathons. So, it talks a little bit about the CERN and the SDG, the UN agenda, and have they've been partnered before. There's the Geneva Trialogue, organized and hosted by the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, the UNITAR, which is also going to be held on the 16th of March. Then it says here, the presentation will explore a range of topics from using citizen science tools to monitor extreme climate events. What are citizen science tools? Are we talking about balloons here? What tools are you talking about? So yes, from using citizen science tools to monitor extreme climate events to mobilizing youth involvement in citizen science climate action projects and more. So they want to
teach a child in the way they should go.
They want to mobilize the youth. I thought it was interesting that they use the word mobilize. The youth is very propagandistic to say that. Teams that have participated in the project will present their ideas and prototypes. In the afternoon, 3 hackathons will be held at Idea Square, centered around the use of citizen science tools and how crowd for SDG methodologies can be used to collect data concerning the SDGs. So they want to get kids to collect
kid
data.
Snitches. Yeah.
For the kids at CERN, let them collect data for the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. I don't know.
Kid snitches, man. Hey, if your mommy and daddy are using too much, gas to cook, or if they're leaving the lights on, now it's your time, children, to save the world.
Yeah, just use the citizen science tools and then show your work and show how your parents are climate terrorists.
It'll be an app like TikTok where you can upload videos of your parents being climate terrorists.
That's true. And then the police will come. So just the idea of deploying the youth, the children, into the system, it truly does feel like, again, anytime they mention young people and children and the youth and stuff like that, it reminds me of the actual tenet for the UN Sustainable 2030 Agenda. I think it was item number 16.9, where it talks about every child born will have identification and citizenship or whatever, or what was it?
Yeah, digital ID.
Yeah, digital ID, but I think they use the word like documentation or something. I think it was documentation to keep it broad.
Right.
Which leads me into this little kind of Epstein adjacent story.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
This is from the New York Post, and it's a weird vertical story with pictures, so we kind of have to go through one by one. But the headline here, woman claiming to be Madeleine McCann will be DNA tested. And now, if you've been following the Epstein saga or just the whole, Epstein rabbit trail, Madeleine McCann was a name that was brought up in the past, and we'll get to why. But here's what the article says. Missing British child Madeleine McCann's parents have agreed to a DNA test for a Polish woman who believes she's their daughter, though even representatives for the young woman making the stunning claims admit that her background is quote-unquote messy. Okay. Jerry and Kate McCann, whose 3-year-old daughter Madeleine disappeared on vacation in Portugal over 15 years ago, are following up on Julia Faustina's claims that she is the kidnapped daughter. Faustina, 21, became an internet sensation this month after she started posting on social media under the handle at I am Madeleine. Madeleine McCann. Yeah, I am Madeleine McCann. And it's got they're showing the video here of her crying and talking into the video. Many of Faustina's posts documented apparent physical similarities between herself and Madeleine, including a distinctive brown smudge on both girls' right irises. And yeah, there's a picture of Madeleine when she was a baby, and then I guess you compare it.
So I didn't know who this is, Madeleine McCann. I was
Oh, you don't know
unaware.
about
Do they
the whole-
explain it a little bit? Because just in case there's anybody else out there who doesn't know why why this is anything.
Okay, so in 2007, Madeleine McCann went missing. She was in.
She was just a kid, just some kid,
just a kid.
or
Yep, 3-year-old kid.
okay.
Yeah, and so it was an international story at the time, and then I think in 2008 they shut the case and say, hey, we don't know what's going on. Now there's something, just I'll mention it now because it's sort of relevant to why people are interested in the story, and it has to do with the fact that this is CNN, and we have the link in the description in the show notes. Victoria Beckham lookalike, clue in Madeleine disappearance. And of course, this is CNN from like 10 years ago. I don't know why this page doesn't load properly. Maybe they just didn't keep up some of the coding on the back end. But,
okay, so they are
2009
saying. So they're saying the suspect, they had a drawing of the suspect of who took Madeleine, and they were claiming it was who? Victoria Beckham?
Victoria Beckham, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, this article is from 2009.
Okay.
But, of course, internet sleuths look at this photo and say, wow, that looks like Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean,
it looks exactly like Ghislaine
like
Maxwell.
So that's why this story has relevance. Okay, so this is missing girl. All of a sudden, there's a woman out of Poland, by the way, interesting place, saying that she's the daughter. Okay, so now they're going to do DNA tests to find out, which I think is, in the context of every child gets identification, I think it's very interesting that this is all happening. Okay, so in her post, Faustana also shared a police sketch of the man multiple witnesses saw carrying a child in the resort the night Madeleine disappeared. Madeleine of Leicestershire was last seen sleeping alongside her infant sibling in her family's Praia de Luz vacation rental on May 3rd, 2007. When Kate McCann checked on her children around 10 p.m., she found the bedroom door and window open and Madeleine gone. News that the McCanns are reportedly pursuing Faustina's claims, however, comes amid growing concerns about the young woman's mental state. And this is kind of weird, this kind of side thing. Spokesperson Dr. Fia Johansson, also known as Persian Medium, she's a medium in Persia, shared in a video update to Faustina's Instagram profile on Monday about her mental state. Okay. Though local authorities initially suspected Jerry and Kate of killing their daughter and disposing of her body, investigators later surmised that Madeleine was probably kidnapped by German sex offender Christian Bruckner. Authorities reportedly are still investigating Bruckner, 45, who was formally identified as a suspect in the McCann case in April 2022. Bruckner was a handyman in Praia de Luz at the time of Madeleine's disappearance. He is serving a 7-year sentence for raping a 72-year-old woman at the resort in September 2005.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, okay. And then, so that's the end of pretty much this story about Madeleine McCann, and we'll find out more. But, you know, it's really interesting because there's been this theme that I've noticed in mainstream news and reporting of some of these child abduction cases. And in the world of, you know, a lot of these, especially conservative types and people that are on the right and Republicans, and, you know, they got swept up with the Q thing. They got swept up into the child trafficking topic, which is a real problem. It's not, I'm not, you know, minimizing the issues. It is a real issue. But in the context of media reporting on it, it's always a little bit different. Netflix recently did a whole documentary about a young girl named Emanuela Orlandi, who went missing from the Vatican. Like, literally, she was part of like the Vatican town family, and you know, there's all this suspicion that somebody in the Vatican took her and used her for whatever reason. And that story, the Pope actually just recently reopened that case. So I'm just seeing this pattern of some of these famous cases of children going missing becoming revisited in this modern context. And I think it's leading to a, hey, look at the problem we have here. We need official global identification.
It makes a very strong case for getting every kid into the system.
Yeah.
Which is backed up by that financing plan to create a savings account for every kid born after 2005.
That's right.
Which would include digital ID and full tracking of health and finances and everything. You can definitely see a case being sort of built into
crafted.
the default worldview of people, paying attention, which is interesting, seeing it on the heels of Pizzagate stuff.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I think it's meant to sort of co-opt, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people who are caught up in the Q stuff, and maybe not even following, Q specifically, but just caught up in the whole notion that there's a problem with child trafficking in our elite people, and what are we going to do about it? And I've been warning about this for a few years now. What they're going to do about it is create a situation where if you're not participating in the system and donating your children into the apparatus, then you are somehow a bad person. Which has been laid out as immoral and unethical to not put your kid into the digital ID system. It's interesting, kind of applying a Hegelian dialectic to the Epstein thing, problem, reaction, solution. It's, the elites are part of the problem, and it's the elites that also are pushing for, tracking every child, kind of creating the situation where they can come in and not let that good crisis go to waste. A quick update along the lines of digital ID stuff, kind of fits in here regarding the Ohio train derailment. Okay, I do have a not so relevant jingle to it, but I guess it works.
Sure. Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
It makes sense.
No, it's fine. Now, this has been, we've seen this for about a week. This has been talked about, but we thought we should at least put it on the record here. WKBN.com. We're going back in time just a bit.
Before the
train. Yeah. We're going back in time to January 2023. Let's see, WKBN.com. East Palestine, weeks away from launching new MyID medical service. So this is in January, before the train. A small device is ready to be used in a small town to make a big impact. East Palestine is excited to make an important medical device available to all 4,700 residents.
Including children.
On Sunday, there will be a special meeting to share more or start signing up. The MyID program is ready to roll out in East Palestine. It's a medical information system that helps first responders provide care. Quote, it gives us that rapid information that we may need should somebody be unresponsive or having some kind of medical emergency, said East Palestine Fire Chief Keith Drabek. He's had a hard time since this.
He didn't know what was coming.
Yeah, he had
he was excited about the MyIDs, and then there's a situation.
Wish we had these MyIDs. MyID provides wearable devices or key fobs that have QR codes. Oh, the chat room's gonna love that. Emergency responders use a camera phone to access important medical information. It allows them the underlying medical conditions people have. Shows them. Why did I say allow? It shows them the underlying medical conditions people have supplied about allergies, medications, emergency contacts, and information. That information could impact treatment decisions if a person can't say it. All of the information is HIPAA compliant. Quote, we're not doing this to gain anybody's information, to try and steal anybody's information. We're doing this to help the public in medical emergencies, Drabek said.
I said it. Take the gun away from my head.
Give me my bonus check. MyID is available in East Palestine and Unity Township. The fire department will demonstrate it to other departments that provide backup. MyID can be used anywhere. On Sunday, residents can learn more during a special meeting at the East Palestine Community Center. Quote, we want to bring people in to get signed up to pick their device that they want, and just so we can see who all is interested in it, said Darlene Chapman with the East Palestine Fire Department. People who are ready can sign up and pick their device. It's free.
No, it's
not. Yeah, because you're the product. It's not. You're the product. Yeah. The village has $5,000 in donations to cover the first phase of 250 devices. Quote, anybody that's skeptical? That's a question mark here. Quote, anybody that's skeptical, please come on down, sit down, talk to us. We'll be happy to show you everything that goes on with it. We'll be happy to show you how secure it is. Okay, Drabek said. Yeah, kind of like how the Special
The US
Operations
government
Command
is email cloud server like that
Yeah,
secure.
so
Good.
secure. People who sign up on Sunday could get their devices within a couple of weeks, and that's when my ID will go live. And that was on the 23rd of January, 26th rather.
Yes.
And the train crash was on the 5th.
I think it was the 3rd. I think we made a mistake when we said 5th on that
Oh.
one episode. We freaked out
Okay,
about
so it was
72,
a
but it
week.
was 70. Yeah, but it's okay.
About a week later, a little
Yeah.
over a week later, was the train crash. So
I do feel a little bit for some of these local, smaller municipalities, these
totally.
governments, because they don't want to be completely left behind the technology curve, but also when you try to implement stuff, it just comes off so dystopian. It's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place,
Well, interesting how they were getting free devices and this free program and this free trial run, but then once the train crashes, it's there. I know there's a bunch of drama with accepting help from the federal government, but there's been some issues with getting help from the federal government.
Well, at least they got Trump
there
water.
you go. What's that? Yeah, Trump. They got the Trump water. Then we have a supporting document here at the morningjournalnews.com. East Palestine Fire Department introduces ID program. That was actually all the way back in October of 2022. It was sort of announced.
Yeah.
So, this had been in motion. And, I don't know. I'm not convinced that it was like a malicious derailing. As far as like some sort of terrorist attack or a false flag or something like that. But the situation certainly was so dire, so on the edge, the situation created by the regulatory bodies and the train companies and the president. This was it was just a matter of time before this happened. So interesting how they would be sort of targeted as one of the test beds for this digital health ID situation.
Yeah. And timing is not in the favor of the people who say that nothing is going on.
It's that's the thing with either the conspiracy theorists or the coincidence theorists, coincidence analysts. It's just they just happen too often. And they fit into such the broader scope of what's going on in the world. It's you gotta be a little skeptical. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at some art. What do you say?
This is break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content. I'm going to take a quick break to thank our producers who come in with their God-given talent. If you get value out of the show here, then you can provide value back by helping us build the culture behind the community here at Canary Crime News Talk. And it really does shape, it kind of solidifies a lot of the topics we talk about and things we reference, and we have some fun here. So it's always great to see all the great artists and musicians and everything, everyone out there contributing to the show in that way. So we're going to start off with a speak pipe.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com and look for a green tab on the right side or the bottom of your page. Click on it, and it will give you a pop-up that allows you to record a message of up to 90 seconds, and it will be sent to us, and we shall hear it, and we may play it. And we have one here from the Observant Servant. And it's a shorter message here, but I'll go ahead and play it.
Hello, Basil and Gons. I was wanting to record my testimony of coming out of the occult and being born again. However, I do have stage fright. So do you have any tips on how to overcome stage fright? By the way, I think you guys are great and such a blessing to hear you 3 days a week. God bless.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
you.
What a sweet thing to say, observant servant. Thank you. Stage fright. Well, doing a podcast for 10 years helps to get used to it. Making a habit of saying stupid things in public definitely has helped.
Yeah.
There's that old adage, you imagine the audience in their underwear. I think I learned that from Nickelodeon, which is now.
Have you actually done that before?
No, that doesn't help me.
Yeah.
I always forget. I don't know. That's a good question. How to get over stage fright? It's kind of like anything. It's practice. Yeah. I would say doing a podcast is a great way to practice doing that because it's fairly low stakes. You don't have anybody right in front of you.
Well, it's fairly low stakes for us in the way we do podcasts. There are others who maybe have higher stakes.
Well, I just mean like if you're in front of a big crowd where they can throw stuff at you or shame you,
shout things at you. Yeah.
I think there are times, maybe even early on, where it just didn't even occur to me that anybody was listening. Especially when we first started the podcast, we were getting like 100 downloads a month, which was big for us. It was like, oh, there's 100 people. I mean, I don't know. It'd be hard to mess it up too bad. But yeah, maybe a debut on now with our numbers might be a little bit more intimidating. But I would say this to observant servant. If you are leaving a story about your testimony here for other Canarians, this is a family. I mean, Canarians, we're very gentle with other Canarians. There's nothing to be afraid of with us. I mean, you're just talking to family. I would consider it that way. If you're going to be telling your story to, say, like your Bible study group or a smaller group of people. Everybody knows each other. Everybody cares about each other. Everybody's got a lot of grace for one another. That's kind of what it's like here. Don't consider it, that big of a group of strangers. Everybody's just itching to hear from you around here.
Yeah, I agree. I think something that helped me, after a while, you realize that you're not going to say things perfectly.
You're going to mess up. Yeah,
mess up, as evident in today's episode. Maybe 10 times I've counted. But also, I think, and this is difficult to do, especially early on. It's very weird and difficult to do. But record something, whether it's you're going to make it public or not, it doesn't matter. Just record something. And then listen back to it.
Listen to it.
Yeah. Because then you can start thinking,
painful.
I say a lot, or I say like all the time, which I still do, and I still need to improve on that.
Yeah.
But it is a good practice.
Mine is, I say all the time.
Or man.
It is a painful thing listening to your own voice.
It is.
And I didn't listen to anything of ours for the first 4 years, maybe 5 years.
Oh, I did.
No, I know you had to because you were doing editing. It was when I started the Joyspiracy theory, and I was editing it myself. That's when I really spent hours and hours and hours listening to my own voice, and you just get used to it, and you realize that the things that you think make your voice sound horrible are the things that other people like about it.
Yeah.
Like Observant Servant, very, very sweet, wonderful voice, makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah.
So there you go. Thank you for the question.
Yeah,
what a fun question.
All right. We're going to do some audio production.
Audio production. Productions.
We got one from Lil Owen. Here's a note here. Matthew 24 is ringing more true every day that passes. Keep preaching the gospel in word and especially deed. Love you all. He's got this Matthew 20. It's a minute and a half. We'll play about 30 seconds or so of it.
Okay.
To be afflicted shall kill you. You shall be hated of all nations. My name says.
Beautiful.
Getting drawn in. I want to play the whole thing. But I'll play the whole
Yeah,
thing
me
at the end.
too. Yeah, we'll play it at the Canary Crime mixtape at the end of the show. Kind of like a nouveau updated, and I mean this in all positivity, sort of a nouveau updated U2 kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel it. You feel it. Incredibly famous band, U2.
That uploaded their album on everybody's devices without anybody asking for it. That guy.
Yeah,
the Freemason.
They forced themselves on us.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you very much, Lil Owen. Always love it. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Lil Owen. All right, we got some art.
One art, please.
And it is from Sir Dove, 9 to Speltia.
One art piece from Dove.
And he has a note here. He says, "Piece for today's artwork. I made a flyer for the upcoming Alaska meetup in Eagle River. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you."
Huzzah. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. And here we go. We got the flyer for the Alaska meetup. Has this been put on the website yet?
I am doing it right now. As we speak. Yes.
Canary Cry, Alaska Meetup, Eagle River, Saturday, March 11th at 3:33 p.m. Contact sbboh@hotmail.com. We've got a beautiful scene, Alaskan scene, gigantic mountains, nice forest. We've got a cute little bear that Dove has drawn off sleeping in the distance with an adorable little derpy-eyed canary dressed up like one of the Inuit peoples holding a spear. Very, very fun. Thank you, Sir Dove. And a nice reminder for everybody to go to Canary Cry meetups and check out some meetups going on around the world and around the country. I know we have all sorts coming up. We'll go over them at the end of the show. But I did want to take the opportunity to mention that we just got an email, Gons. We are announcing a meetup right now. Let's see, planning a meetup. This is from Truth Transistor. Planning a meetup on Saturday, May 27th and 28th, Memorial Weekend in Glen Rose, Texas, which is the southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth area, including a visit of the Creation Evidence Museum. That's fun. Here is the link for details and to RSVP. Okay, so we got a link. Interesting. Thank you very much, Truth Transistor. I'm going to open up this link. We will put this information on the meetup site, canarycrimeetups.com. You know, a couple weeks ago, I felt it. I felt it coming, Gons. We had 0 meetups planned, and that was unusual, but, you know, it's the holidays. It's the end of the year. It's the beginning of the year. I felt it coming, the wave of meetups, and I'm very excited that people have started stepping out, man, planning these meetups for their year. Some of them planning as far ahead as September. But Texas, Glen Rose, Texas, you're getting a meetup on May 27th and 28th. All that info will be there at canarycrimemeetups.com.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And that's the only art we have today, as far as I understand. So we got a couple microfictions.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
This first one is from Runk Smash.
Mike floats in the tank, and a cacophony of disruption echo through the tank. The DMT takes hold, and he is thrust through a door into another world. He lands hard in the middle of a troop of cyborg Sasquatches, pulled in the burning chariots by giant cats.
I really hope we get there.
Mike the Psychonaut. Mike the Psychonaut, facilitated by the chaplain, the psychedelic chaplain, has entered the DMT spirit realm. We'll see what happens. Thank you very much, Runk Smash.
Thank you, Runk Smash. I just like the idea of a burning chariot being carried by a giant cat.
Pulled by cats with cyborg Sasquatches in the chariot.
Sounds fantastic. All right, we got another one here from Stephen S.
State of the Union address? What do I wear? Asks a freshman congresswoman in a power lunch with Agent Street, clad in a hot pink pantsuit with matching stilettos. Honey, all white. Show solidarity with the women of the world. Democrats is Marjorie Taylor Greene asking Nancy Pelosi what to wear to the State of the Union. Yeah, they could share fashion tips. I mean,
I'm sure that would be a hit show.
Yeah,
they should do that once they get done with it.
I just mean with each other.
No, I know, but I'm saying they can capitalize on that. That would be. It's because you're a Republican. You like your white dress because you're a white supremacist.
No, that's a good show. That's maybe a good podcast. Nancy Pelosi and Marjorie Taylor Greene, sworn political enemies, come together and talk fashion. And,
AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Why AOC?
You said Nancy Pelosi.
Is that's what I thought. That's who I thought Agent Street is, or is that AOC?
I think it might be. I don't know. Well, I'm confused now.
AOC would make more sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Stephanos.
Thank you, Stephanos. Appreciate it, and appreciate all of the producers who came in with their God-given talent.
That's right. Especially those who submitted their art for the show to canarycry.art. Canarycry.art's the URL where you can upload any kind of art to the show so we can feature it. We love it. It's a very important part of what we do around here. It's this isn't just a show. It's not just a podcast. It's a culture. It's a community. It's a family. And that's where you guys come in. So go to canarycry.art and make something for the show. Send it in.
Yep. 100%. Okay. We are moving on here. What do we got? We got balloons. Is that what we got? Balloons at the end of the show here?
I don't know. This is going to be a little bit messy here at the end, but we can figure it out. Yeah, balloons.
You said that this is violating our airspace, so why not take it down?
Yeah, so, clearly as we assess options and considering the size of the payload on this, looking at the potential for debris and the impact on civilians on the ground or property damage.
Please describe America to me in one single word.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was the foothills of the
Savior of Ukraine and Europe.
That's our man,
Joe Savior.
This was an interesting sort of, I think, sign of the beginning of the end for the balloon thing, and perhaps part of the agenda all along. We both saw this on Bloomberg. Spy balloons are the slow and silent future of surveillance.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting. The future of surveillance was also used in the 1700s by the French.
About that a little bit.
Yeah. When Russ van der Werf heard about the Chinese surveillance balloon detected drifting over the U.S., potentially spying on sensitive installations, he was concerned, naturally. But as vice president for the Stratospheric Solutions at Aerostar, a company that makes high-altitude balloons, he was also kind of psyched.
Good reporting, Bloomberg.
Van der Werf has been working to convince government and commercial customers that Aerostar's products offer serious advantages as surveillance platforms. It isn't always easy. Quote, there's always someone saying, "Oh, now the balloon kooks are here," he says. Well, now it looks like other people think it's a good idea, too.
The tables have turned.
It's a wonderful underdog story.
It is.
About the balloon industry, which, of course, we all know now has existed, sort of unappreciated for quite some time now. And we've actually talked about Aerostar before, reporting on their different products. The Aerostar is really, really taking advantage of all this balloon hype. And it seems like it may have opened some doors to the government, to government contracts. And I don't want to spend too much time on this article because the long and short of it is that, there's a big push for balloons now. Now, we know that the U.S. has had a robust surveillance balloon program. What was it, since 2015?
Yes. Yeah, there was a program in 2015. 2017, there was another report on it. And I think it says in this article about 2012. I had mentioned on Twitter the whole Project Loon thing, which went defunct, but it seemed like maybe, kind of like a paperclip situation. They might have moved some of the research to another country or something, maybe China. I don't know. But anyway, yeah.
So some of the benefits of balloons being touted in this article, they say it's better than satellites because a satellite only stays over an area for a couple minutes. It's better than airplanes because airplanes can be detected easily. Stratospheric balloons can overcome many of these problems. They fly higher than planes and are made of material that's transparent to radar. They're much harder to spot when they slip over the borders of unfriendly countries, as well as the fact that they can hover over a single area for weeks by controlling their altitude to catch different wind currents, things like that. I'm starting to suspect that this entire thing was just one big stunt for the balloon industry. I mean, you have a failing industry you truly believe might change the world of surveillance and other stuff, and nobody's paying attention to you. Somehow put off a big balloon, spray paint some Chinese characters on the sides, and get a couple shot down. It's worth it because suddenly the fear will strike into the hearts of the American government. And, we have the medical industrial complex, the military industrial complex, and I think we're going to have the balloon industrial complex now. The balloons are back, baby. They are back. But this is just a setup to another big story that's been floating around the past couple of days. What do you got, Guns?
Yeah. So from spy balloons to what I believe are spy buoys. This is being reported all over the place. This is YON being mirrored on MSN. Headline: Mysterious object found on Japanese beach. Police cordon off the area. Mysterious object. I love the headlines. It's so provocative. In Japan, police have cordoned off a beach after discovering a mysterious ball on the sand.
Mysterious ball on the sand? Sounds like a balloon to me, Gons.
Oh, not this one. Not when you see it. As per local media reports, authorities are worried that the object might be a sea mine of some kind. A sea mine. Basil, don't step on those sea mines. RT News reports that the object was first spotted on Monday, February 20th, morning by a local woman in the city of Hamamatsu in the Shizuoka prefecture. The object reportedly measures around 1.5 meters. It's about 4.9 feet in diameter, and based on the rust on its surface, is believed to be made of iron. However, the exact metal is yet to be identified. Police have cordoned off a 200-meter radius around the object. As you can see the photos here. It looks like a kind of a... It looks like, when you go to a friend's house and they got those globes, those old brown globes, not the blue ones, like the older ones that had like the brownish tint.
Yeah, I got a couple of those.
That's kind of what it looks like. And it's got a little thing on the top and the bottom, which leads me
it's
to believe
obviously a little spot where you attach a chain or a rope or something. It's
it's not.
D-hook or something.
You're being too rational. This is
D-ring, rather, yeah.
This is and it says here the mysterious ball may have washed ashore from the sea.
May have? What? May have? Like, it's in the ocean. It's on the beach. It's in the surf as the tide is rising. But maybe it fell out of the sky.
Maybe it grew. Emerged from under the sand.
Yeah, maybe it tunneled up from below. Yeah, the balloon thing, I feel like, has programmed everybody to be completely triggered and freaked out by any orb-shaped object. Like, what is that? Oh my god! It's a balloon. Look, there's a circle on the beach. No, it's not a balloon. It's an orb.
We're joking about it, but it is true. It is absolutely true. And we didn't report it today, but there's the Boulder, Colorado shooting thing going on, and they locked stuff down. And I haven't caught up with everything, so I don't know all the latest on that. But when I saw that, it made me think of, and I was probably putting this story together here. It made me think that, if there's enough paranoia, we already know what the lockdown looks like, and maybe they can do it in smaller local areas, which kind of like they did in Boulder today, which the students evacuated, shelter in place issued because there's an active shooter. There doesn't even need to be a real active shooter. They can just say there is, and then everything locks down. And similarly, anything that pops up now, what is it? Especially social media. And it says here that pictures and videos of the object have widely been shared on social media websites.
Oh, the social media is crazy. I
It's
mean, I saw a
insane.
whole thread about how the iron orb on the beach was a UFO. Like, it's rusting and it has a chain attached to it. What are you talking about? It's a UFO.
So anybody who does any amount of due diligence, you can just go to your Googler or whatever, doesn't matter, and just type in industrial metal buoys.
Yeah.
And you'll get a bunch of what looks like big metal balls with hooks on either end. And I mean, it's literally a thing. Spherical buoys is a thing.
Well, the fun part is that the story isn't a buoy washed up on beach. The story here, for our sake, is look how powerful just a couple of weeks of narrative crafting can be. You know, the constant onslaught of balloon talk has created it where a literal piece of trash washes up on the beach, and people are so triggered, they're so primed to be scared of orbs that it completely sets Twitter on fire, and not in a fun way. Originally I thought, oh, okay, people are having fun with this. Like, they're making fun of the balloon thing. You know, they freaked out over balloons. Turns out it might not have been anything. Now they see another orb and it's kind of like a meme, like a joke. But the more you looked into it, it's like, wait, no, it's not. Like, the mainstream media is covering a buoy that washed up a mysterious object. And they use the same language too. Object, unknown object, washed up on beach. To me, this story is about how impressive it is that it only took about 2 weeks to totally reprogram society's responses to a orb showing up in a place where an orb usually isn't. And I think it's a good object lesson for all of us, especially on this show, of like, you know, the programming is not as abstract as we think. You know, it's easy to talk about narrative programming, worldview crafting, stuff like this, response, what's the word? When you make a movie.
Reaction?
The movie programming thing.
Predictive programming?
Predictive programming, thank you. Predictive programming, it's easy to think of all these things in sort of like an abstract conspiracy land way, but we literally watched the live programming of society to freak out at a circle in a place where there wasn't a circle before. And it did not take very long, and it was pretty easy. It's a wonderful thing. Let's not miss the message of the buoy. The message is we are way more easily programmed than even the most skeptical conspiracy theorists could consider.
Well, the
fear response, especially
100%, and I agree with you. I also think that potentially, you never know, one of these days a ball might wash ashore somewhere, and it may be the actual nuke. It might be Putin's nuke. You never know. I mean, they could just pull it off. You know, big explosion. I mean, I'm not leaving anything to chance. It can all go down. There's something that I wanted to mention as part of this, which is kind of fun, and on the side here, there is a Japanese mythology called Utsurobune, and Utsurobune, it means hollow ship. And it was made famous in the last 10, 15 years because of Ancient Aliens, because they did a whole thing where they take this mythology and they take a painting of this mythology from, I guess, a little while ago, a couple 100 years ago or whatever. And the image definitely looks like a UFO. It's kind of got a disc shape and whatnot. Yeah. But the legend itself, when you read it, it's kind of like, okay, it sounds more like a carriage, a sea carriage or something. But I thought it was interesting because, this would be a little more, I don't know, worthy of social media speculation from the conspiracy crowd.
Have you seen this? Was anybody saying Japanese UFO?
Some people were, but not really. People aren't that informed nowadays when they're responding to conspiracy stuff. But I thought it was interesting because according to legend, on February 22nd, 1803, how many years ago is that? It's 2023, 1803. That is 220 years ago.
Yeah.
Ooh, 220.
Yeah.
On the 22nd.
Ooh.
Local fishers of the Harayadori shore in the Hitachi province saw an ominous ship drifting in the waters. Curious, they towed the vessel back to land, discovering that it was 3.3 meters.
Ooh.
Almost twice as big as the ball. And 5.45 meters wide, reminding the witnesses of Kohako, Japan incense. It reminded them of the incense burners that they have over there. Its upper part appeared to be made of red-coated rosewood, while the lower part was covered with brazen plates, obviously to protect it against the sharp-edged rocks. So it was a water vehicle of some kind, but of course,
it sounds like the landing pod of an old space space rocket, like from the Apollo missions, where it was like a cone type of thing that fell down and had the heat resistant plating.
Yeah. So in the mythology, there's a woman that comes out of this thing. She's got red hair and red eyebrows, long hair elongated by artificial white extensions. Okay, white fur, thin white powdered textile streaks, and so
cyborg Sasquatch,
ocean cyborgs or something. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's what we're waiting for. We'll have the spy buoys for a while, but then one of these days it'll just be a giant egg. And I saw one funny thing that it's Gojira. This is how it all begins. It's a Gojira egg that washed ashore. It's gonna hatch and giant lizard thing terrorize.
Yeah, okay. It's a Godzilla egg.
Godzilla egg. I saw other people say Dragon Ball, which I thought was kind of funny.
Nice.
But there you go. Some fun things there. And yeah, I do agree with you that the response here was the phenomenon in terms of everybody freaking out about it and not spending even a moment to consider, like, hey, maybe there's some explanation here, especially when you look at the pictures and you see the hooks. You see
it
the top.
Doesn't even require an explanation. Yeah. Stay vigilant, folks. Stay vigilant. Keep an eye out for orbs where orbs should not be. This is the real threat. It's not China. It's not Russia. It's not our own government. It's circular objects where there was no circular object before. Stay frosty, folks. And thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. And especially thank you to all of our producers, our execs, Dustin B., Malik W., Felicia D., of course, most important people in the world, the T-Shirt Council. Thank you to all producers coming in with your talent, our artists, and now it's time to thank the producers who keep this show going, doing the thankless jobs of producing with their time, starting with our Clippies.
Clippy on those videos. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you to the Clippies who run the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey. Go subscribe to that now. It's this show clipped out. They also do shorter social clips. It's an essential part. Not only is it essential, but it's something that Gons and I would never have the time to do. So we appreciate them very much. Go follow the channel and thank Emsworth and Faye Reverend for doing the hard work that they do.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to the Timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right. The timestamp in the show. It goes into so many of our back end stuff. And thank you to Pocojo for doing the timestamps for episode 593.
Thank you, Pocojo.
Thank you to our social media gal.
The social media consultant.
Thanks so much. Social media, follow us.
Day Miss G, the OV in the Deep Rivers, making sure the art gets up on the social. Thank you. And while you're at it, go to canarycrymeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Canary Cry Meetups. It's your one-stop shop for all the very exciting meetups going on around the world. No matter where you are, there either is a meetup or could be a meetup. It's just up to you to put it on. CanaryCrymeetups.com. Go find a meetup and attend it. And if there's not one near you, put one on yourself. We've got Central Florida meetup coming up in March. We've got the Alaska meetup coming up in March. We've got the Missouri meetup coming up in March. We've got the Eastern North Carolina coming up in September.
I put the Glen Rose, Texas in there, and it didn't populate.
Okay. And we also have the Glen Rose, Texas coming up in May. So go check it out, canarycrymeetups.com. If you don't see one near you, just send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Tell us you want to put on a meetup, and we will do the rest. We'll tell people about it. We will put it on the website, and people will come. No matter where you are in the world, there are other Canarians near you. It's just a matter of luring them into the public eye. And, in all seriousness, in-person fellowship is very important, something that is often taken for granted, and also something that lots of people can be skeptical of. But people are good, especially if they're listening to this podcast. And if you listen to the same podcast, there's a good chance you'll have a lot in common. Go put on a meetup. Go to a meetup, canarycrymeetups.com. We'll see you there.
This is fun!
That's right. Go leave ratings and or reviews on Apple Podcasts, or don't. I don't know. Do you need reverse psychology? I can do that. Or if you need some positive psychology, I got that. But whatever you do, you should go look at the most recent review at Canary Cry News Talk. We're going to read it on Friday. But if you just want a good time, go read the most recent review on Apple Podcasts for Canary Cry News Talk, and hopefully that will inspire you to leave your own review. So please do. It helps us out a lot. It's one of those things. We have control over so little about what the algorithms, how they treat us. But ratings and reviews, that helps us out a lot. And so it's in your hands to help us break through some of the censorship we've experienced over the years. Go do that on Apple Podcasts. Thank you very much. And other than that, share the show. Share it with. Oh, thank you to Jam for the articles. Oh yeah. Including Nancy and Paul for using canarycry.report. Thank you to Clank for the assistance. And other than that, share the show with your friends. Share the show with your family. And here's the thing. We've stepped out. We've made public declarations that it's about time somebody stand up for the balloons, defend the balloons against the aggressive acts of the U.S. government and the bad press that they've been getting. Balloons are oppressed and depressed. And you know what? It's not just about balloons. There are other orb-shaped objects, unidentified orbs that need our protection as well, people, like buoys. It's about time we start standing up, doing our ethical and moral duty to defend buoys against the slanderous claims going on in the media. So please, take in a buoy. There's buoy refugees.
Adopt a buoy.
all along the coasts. We're starting Adopt a Buoy program. Go get on the news. Go tell your congressman. Tell them that Canary Cry News Talk is finished. Finished being a part of the system that oppresses stray, lonely, lost buoys and keeps them on the beach. They don't belong there. They belong in a nice warm bed. If they're cold, you're cold. Wait, if you're cold, they're cold. And so bring in a buoy and let everybody know that Canary Cry News Talk is the most ethical and moral way to spend your afternoons 3 times a week. Other than that, just share the show. If you need any more instructions, we call it rattling cages. Walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, just ask Noah. Any last words, Guns?
2 things. One, I noticed that our favicon was updated on
Yes,
CanaryCrimeNewsTalk.com.
I went it. There's so much shame associated that our favicon had not been done. Producer Laura C. updated that for us.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Second thing. The sea levels are rising, Basil.
Yes.
Spy buoys will become a much, much bigger thing.
Yes, they'll come wandering down the street as the streets are flooding with seawater because of the melting glaciers. Yes.
Better have your spy buoy ready for when the earth floods again, even though
set my buoys free. Yes. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Crime News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Oops, sorry. Here we go. Bye.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo. Feed him more. I love the Great Reset.
It will kill.
This is the way. This is not about freedom or personal choice. Armageddon's on the way.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
When the news of the day gets to feeling like a maze, it's okay, don't be afraid if you don't know what to say. Canary, cry awaits. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry awaits. Canary, cry awaits. Oh, canary, cry awaits. Oh, the world's changing every day, each and every way you turn, there's another thing to learn. Reading in between the lines, thanking Jesus for our lives, and nice to see His glory shining like the sun. Run the race until it's done. Come on, everyone. Canary, cry awaits. Oh, canary, cry awaits. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry awaits.
To be afflicted shall kill you. You shall be hated of all nations. My namesake in earthquakes, diverse places. In this God's word, the kingdom shall be preached in all world for witness unto all nations. And then the end shall come.
And in the wilderness, where you have seen how the Lord your God carried you, as a man carries his son, all the way that you went until you came to this place. Even to your old age, I am he, and to gray hairs I will carry you. I have made, and I will bear. I will carry, and will save. For he will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone.
I will say one thing, though. I love Canary Crime News Talk. It's got everything. It's the best podcast. I think outside the cage. You know what I mean? Hit the subscribe button. It's not fake news. Not at all.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCrimeRadio.com/support.